My name is Elise, and I'm 44 years old. I've been a single mother for as long as I can remember. Life wasn't kind to me, but it wasn't cruel either. It gave me one blessing. My son, Lenny, he's 22 now, grown, strong, and brave in ways I never was. We shared a tiny house in a quiet American town. A place so peaceful that even stray cats walked like they owned the street. But peace is funny. It can disappear in one night. And for me, that night came unexpectedly. It was a cold evening in November. Wind whistled against the windows and the heater kept, making a strange ticking noise. I had wrapped myself in a blanket, scrolling absent-mindedly through my phone, when I heard the front door open. "Lenny?" I called. He didn't answer immediately. He stepped inside slowly, like each foot weighed 10 pounds. His face was pale, not sick pale, but scared pale. He closed the door behind him and leaned his back against it, breathing heavily. "Mom," he said, voice trembling although he tried to hide it. I stood up at once. "Lenny, what happened? Are you okay?" He shook his head. "Not a no. Just the kind of shake someone gives when they don't know what to say." He walked past me and dropped his bag on the floor. When his shoes hit the wooden flooring, the sound echoed sharply. He rubbed his forehead with his trembling fingers and whispered, "I don't feel good." I stepped closer. "Did something happen at work?" He didn't answer. He just looked at me, and his eyes had something I had never seen in them. Fear. Pure, solid fear. "Come on," I said softly. "You need to lie down." It was freezing inside the house, and his hands were like ice. I guided him to my bedroom because the heater there worked better. He lay down without protest, like someone who had been awake for days. I pulled the thick blanket over him. At first, everything seemed normal, a mother watching over her exhausted son. But then, something changed. Lenny curled slightly toward me, like a child who had seen a nightmare. He wasn't seeking warmth. He was seeking safety. His fingers gripped my elbow gently, almost unconsciously. "Mom, don't go," he whispered, eyes half closed. My heart tightened. He hadn't spoken to me like that in years. I sat down beside him. "I'm right here. Tell me what's wrong." His breathing slowed, not the soft rhythm of sleep, but the slow, shaky breath of someone trying not to panic. The room grew quieter, too quiet. I could hear my heartbeat. I could hear the wind outside. I could hear the floorboard in the hallway creak, like someone stepped on it. I froze. Lenny opened his eyes slowly, lifting his head just enough to meet my gaze. "Mom," he said softly, voice breaking. They followed me home. My breath caught. "Who?" He swallowed hard. His throat moved like he was forcing down a fear he couldn't speak of. "The people," he whispered. "The ones I told you about? The ones from the warehouse." I felt the blood drain from my face. For weeks he had been telling me strange things, that he felt watched, that someone was following him after work, that a van had parked outside his job for 3 nights straight. I thought he was stressed. I told him he needed sleep. I told him it was in his head. Maybe I was wrong. "Lenny? What do you mean, followed you?" I asked. He held the blanket tightly in his fist. "They're outside, Mom." A cold shiver crawled up my spine. Outside? Our street was always quiet. Who would come here? I walked to the window slowly and pulled the curtain an inch to the side. At first, I saw nothing but the empty street and the orange glow of the streetlight. The wind brushed dry leaves across the pavement. Then, at the far end of the road, I saw it. A black SUV. Parked, engine off. Lights off. Just sitting there like a sleeping beast. "Mom," Lenny said behind me. They were behind me all the way from work. Same car, same lights, same sound. I tried to steady my voice. "Maybe it's a neighbor's—" "No," he cut me off. That car was right behind me for 20 minutes. When I turned, it turned. When I stopped, it stopped. His voice cracked. When I ran, they didn't chase me. They just watched. A chill settled deep inside my chest. The wind outside hit the window harder. And then, knock! Not at the door. At the side of the house. A soft, deliberate tap, like fingertips brushing the siding. Lenny's breathing quickened. "Mom, they're here." I turned toward him. His eyes were wide, terrified. "Stay inside," I whispered. "Lock the bedroom door." I moved toward the front hall, my heart pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. My hands shook as I reached for the light switch. Knock! This time louder. More intentional. It came from the back door. Someone was circling the house. I forced myself to breathe. "Who's there?" I called out, voice trembling. "This is private property." Silence. Only the wind replied. I turned to hurry back to Lenny. But before I could take 2 steps, my phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. I opened it with cold fingers. "Bring him outside. Or we come in." My entire body went stiff. My throat dried. My heart began to hammer painfully. I stared at the message, unable to blink. Behind me, from the bedroom, I heard Lenny whisper, "Mom, they found me." And that was the moment I knew. Whatever was happening, it was only the beginning. I stood frozen in the hallway, the phone trembling in my hand. That message, those 10 words, sliced through me like ice. Bring him outside. Or we come in. Who were they? What did they want? Why my son? My hands shook uncontrollably as I hurried back to the bedroom. Lenny was sitting up now, breathing hard, his hair messy and forehead wet with sweat. He looked like someone running from nightmares that refused to end. Mom, what did they say? He whispered. I didn't want to show him the message. I didn't want to give him another thing to fear. But he saw the panic in my eyes, and that told him everything. They want you, I said quietly. They're outside, and they're not leaving. Lenny shut his eyes. His jaw clenched. He looked like a man fighting a memory he didn't want to remember. Elise, he whispered. He only used my name when he was truly scared. I didn't tell you everything. I sat beside him, gripping his hand. Then tell me now. He swallowed, trying to steady himself. Mom, it's about the warehouse. The very place he had been complaining about for weeks. Late shifts, strange vans, locked doors, people watching him. What happened there? I asked. He looked at me with guilt in his eyes. They were doing something illegal, Mom. Something big, something dangerous. My heart dropped. What kind of illegal? He hesitated, his voice lowered to a whisper. Money, fake documents, shipments that never got recorded. They were trafficking things, and I accidentally saw something I wasn't supposed to see. A cold fear spread through my chest. You saw something? He nodded. A meeting, boxes, codes, people I'd never seen before, and they saw me watching. For a moment I felt dizzy. When was this? 2 weeks ago, he whispered. I didn't think they'd actually come after me. I thought if I stayed quiet, maybe. A loud thud shook the house. We both jumped. A window rattled violently, like someone had shoved it. Lenny grabbed my arm. Mom, they're trying to come inside. No, I said firmly. Not with you here. Not while I'm breathing. Another buzz. Another message. Unknown number. Last chance. We won't ask again. My breath caught. I looked at Lenny. His face had drained of all color. Mom, we can't fight them, he whispered. These people are dangerous. But I wasn't going to give my son away. I would rather face the danger myself. Get your shoes, I said quietly. He stared at me. What? Why? We're not giving them anything, I said. We're leaving. But they're outside, he said. They'll see us. Yes, I answered, but not if we're smart. I grabbed my coat and took his arm. The back door was the closest exit, but they were already knocking on it. The front door was risky, so I made a choice I hadn't made in years. A choice out of desperation. We're going to the basement, I said. The basement had an old emergency exit, one Lenny didn't even know existed. It was built when the house was owned by an elderly couple for tornado safety. No one used it anymore, but I prayed it still worked. We moved quickly and quietly, every floorboard creaking like it wanted to betray us. Another knock. Another rattle of the window. They were getting impatient. I opened the basement door. It groaned loudly, and I flinched at the sound. We slipped downstairs. The basement was freezing, filled with old boxes, dusty shelves, and memories we didn't have time to revisit. Lenny's voice trembled. Mom, what if they already know about this exit? They don't, I said firmly. Nobody does. I hoped I was right. We reached the far corner of the basement. Behind 2 stacked boxes was the old metal hatch. Rusted, heavy, but still locked from the inside. I pushed the boxes aside. Lenny helped, though his hands trembled. Hurry, he whispered. Upstairs, we heard the first unmistakable sound of breaking wood. They were forcing their way in. My heart raced. I knelt beside the hatch and pulled the latch. It stuck, protesting with a rusty cry. I pulled harder, and it snapped open, making a sharp metallic clang. They'll hear that, Lenny whispered, terrified. I know, I said. Help me lift it. We forced the hatch upward. Cold night air rushed in. The exit opened into the bushes behind the house, hidden from the street, hidden from the SUV. Perfect. Go, I said. Lenny climbed up and out. I followed, lifting the metal door back into place. I didn't close it all the way. I needed it quiet. But I slid the leaves back over it. Then we ran. Through the dark backyard, through the gap between the neighbors' fences, across a field lit only by the moon. Lenny was breathing hard, stumbling, exhausted. I held his arm, keeping him steady. Behind us, from the house, we heard voices. Men. Inside. Searching. They're in, Lenny whispered. I know, I said, pulling him faster. We need to get somewhere safe. But where? He asked breathlessly. I looked at him, and the decision became clear. The police, I said. Now. He shook his head wildly. Mom, they have people everywhere. Like, what if... We don't have a choice, I said. You're not alone anymore. We fight this together. We reached the end of the field and climbed over a fence. My chest hurt from the cold and the running, but I refused to stop. Lenny stumbled. I caught him. "Mom," he said, breath shaking. "I'm sorry. I dragged you into this." I looked him straight in the eyes. "You're my son," I said. "You never dragged me anywhere. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." We ran toward the distant glow of the town. Streetlights, cars, safety. But just as we reached the edge of the neighborhood, a familiar engine sound cut through the night. A black SUV, turning the corner, slowly, deliberately. Headlights off, windows tinted, crawling toward us like a predator. Lenny grabbed my hand. "Mom," he whispered, voice trembling. "They found us." And the SUV accelerated, straight toward us.